How many ayahuasca ceremonies do you need to experience a lasting change in your life? Is it a once in a lifetime thing? How many ayahuasca ceremonies should you do at your retreat? And it's a very important question, and most people even get it wrong in some ways or have a misconception about it, same as I did when I started on this path. And the first thing which is very important to understand is that ayahuasca is not the solution to your life. Ayahuasca is a tool. That tool can help you to improve your life, to emotionally process things from the past, to connect you with your intuition, with yourself, to find a level of clarity within, to see your blind spots, to create a vision for your life. And by doing all of this, it can improve your life by letting go of toxic patterns. But in the end, it's about what you do with that information, with that level of emotional impact, that's gonna determine the level of change that's going to happen within you. One important question that determines how many ayahuasca ceremonies you need is, what is your intention with ayahuasca? What are you looking for in the ayahuasca? And if you think about, there are certain topics which are obviously a little bit more complicated or more deep. If you talk about high level of childhood abuse, if you talk about suicide in the family, if you talk about a high degree of addiction, like those are usually things which really need healing on a deeper level. So in general, you would need more ceremonies for that. On the other hand, if you're looking for clarity in your life, if you want to connect with your intuition, if you want to forgive somebody, if you want to see your blind spots, those can be done in a lot fewer ceremonies. Also, it's a similar question if you would ask yourself, how many therapy sessions do I need? And it depends a lot on each person and the process that they're in, how the soil is. You know, sometimes also it's like some people experience ayahuasca and it's like, it's just like really wanted to come out, and even just a little ayahuasca gets them where they want to go. Sometimes something is very deeply buried inside of us and it's just like taking of layers and layers to get wherever we want to go. One thing which is important to keep in mind is that there is no ayahuasca police. There might be people saying, hey, you shouldn't be drinking this much ayahuasca, or you should be drinking more ayahuasca, or whatever, but it's a process between you and the plant. And there's a person that I know, and that person had a process with the dad, and it was about 25 to 30 ceremonies to look at it from different angles until finally that breakthrough moment happened. And there might be people who say like, hey, that's like way too much ayahuasca, like this is ridiculous. But on the other end, who is that other person to determine however many ceremonies is adequate for that person to figure out a topic that they're dealing with? So it's very intimate, it's very personal. It's not about judging that you should be at this point or you should get it sooner. That is, I think, one very important thing to keep in mind. Coming from the West, we expect very clear instructions, clear path. But healing in many ways is not linear, it's non-linear. In a way, it's more a spiral. And the topic that you are healing, you will most likely get retested on that topic. For example, if I look at the topic of self-worth, in the beginning it might be like, hey, I'm doing this to get attention, to get validation, to not feel so bad about me, to proving myself to others, to myself, and then it progresses to, I'm doing something because I love myself, because it's the expression of self-love that I carry. But it can be the same activity, even like working out, done out of completely different intentions. So you are being retested on your healing journey to be seen like, hey, did you learn that lesson? There is a twist to that lesson. So again, it's not linear, it's more of a spiral and more like quantum leaps of healing. There are many people who come to drink ayahuasca because they are in a life crisis. They are facing certain deep levels of problems, and after going on a path with ayahuasca, they're able to overcome that issue, that challenge in their life. And they might find a path in ayahuasca that they're like, hey, if this has worked so well with this topic, there are a lot of other topics that I actually want to improve on. They might see it as a checkup, that they want to do it once a year or once every 3 years, and it can turn into a path of growth, a path of inner mastery in some ways. And for me, I even get a little bit surprised that people receive that, not that they receive that deep level of healing, like I've seen that in many cases, but that sometimes people just return when they have the next life crisis or a big problem going on. And knowing like, hey, a checkup every once in a while might not be the wrong thing. And again, I'm not trying to tell people how many times they should be drinking ayahuasca. Each person feels that intuitive call in a way as well. But yes, knowing that ayahuasca can be a path of self-discovery, a path of self-mastery as well. There's a term, it's called like the psychonauts, basically people who want to take psychedelics because they want to explore, they want to venture, they want to connect with the spirit world. And it's not something that I really recommend, because in a way you are a tourist. It's like you are looking for that experience. But from my understanding, ayahuasca is not about having experience, it's about receiving a deep level of healing with a lot of humility, with a lot of respect in our heart, or to go on a path of growth. But just to drink ayahuasca to see what's out there, in most people, those people get a little bit of a smack of ayahuasca and then they reevaluate their intentions with it, because again, from my understanding, it's not about what's out there, but about discovering what's inside of us. I'd also love to share the indigenous viewpoint on ayahuasca, and interestingly, their perspective is to drink more ayahuasca. You are unclear about your ayahuasca ceremony? Drink more ayahuasca. You have a problem integrating something in your life? Drink more ayahuasca. And I think it's also important to see the cultural context of it. Obviously, it's their medicine, it's what they've been doing in community for thousands of years. For them, it's also a way to connect with that communal, tribal spirit as well. But it's interesting to they recommend to keep on profundizar, to connect deeper with ayahuasca and finding the answers within you. And then there's a question, how many ayahuasca ceremonies should you have for a retreat? And we have a 3.5-day retreat, we have a 7-day retreat. In the 3.5-day retreat, we do 2 ceremonies. In the 7-day retreat, we do 4 ceremonies. And I like to say to people that the 2 ceremonies are good to have that connection with ayahuasca, to take a step or maybe even a big step forward on your healing journey. Whereas the 7-day with also 4 ceremonies, it's really there to go significantly deeper in your process. Many people say that they experience a level of healing that they didn't even know that they needed, that something shifts deeply inside of them, and that it's has been a seed for them to in many ways change their lives. I personally recommend to have more than 1 ceremony at a retreat. For the reason is, if you have 1 ceremony, you can put a lot of pressure on a ceremony, that I need to resolve all of my life issues in the next 6 hours. Also, if you drink ayahuasca back to back or in a shorter period of time, you are in a more open state, you are more sensitive. It's not, with the ayahuasca, it's also not that you build a tolerance, but that you actually connect easier with it. Also, you just experience the ceremony, you start to trust more in the ayahuasca, in yourself, and facilitators, and the shaman. So the 7-day retreat, at the moment, we offer 4 ceremonies, but most people actually just do 3 for various reasons. One of them is that the ayahuasca that we work with is pretty potent. The other is that there is that option with the purgative where you clean your physical body before, and that allows you to connect deeper with the ayahuasca as well. And basically the question is, some people take longer to connect with ayahuasca, others connect on the first night, on the first cup, and for those people usually 3 ceremonies are enough as well. But also what I noticed, that it's really not necessary to do more than 4 ceremonies from my viewpoint, because you receive so much information, there's so much energy that has been moved within you, and now is the time for you to go back to your life, to start applying the changes, the teachings that you have received, and then it's about readjusting after, and then you might come back in a couple of months, in a year or whatever, but it's about getting that feedback of life, what is going well, what do I have troubles with, but I feel like after 4 ceremonies it's more like, my personal opinion is that you received enough information to keep on going or keep on coming back to your life. When I first drank ayahuasca, I thought that ayahuasca was more of a once in a lifetime type of thing. Now, facilitating a lot of retreats, also observing the people that come here, the changes that are happening in them, I would say that to really overcome a topic that one is struggling with, it's people need between 3 to 15 ceremonies in a 6 months to 3 year period. So you basically come to the ayahuasca, you experience the ayahuasca, you make your experience, you go back to your life, you start to apply the changes. Some things might go well, some things might be more difficult to implement. Then you come back to the ayahuasca, you drink again, you receive new inputs, and have that process of repetition, that getting a new perspective, and that allows you to take on the next steps with ayahuasca. So I would say that a typical amount of ceremonies that you need to overcome a topic in your life is between 3 to 15 in a 6 months to 3 year time period. One important question to ask oneself is, what is stopping me from drinking more ayahuasca? And it could be like doing another ceremony. Maybe you had a strong ceremony in retreat, and then there's like next ceremony the next day, and you're just like, oh no, I don't want to drink more. Or it might be even the second cup in the ceremony. So it's important to revise our intention. And if it's coming from a level of fear, or a level that we don't want to be uncomfortable, that we don't want to vomit again, that we are afraid what we might see, my recommendation is, if you are ready for it, to take the next steps. Because in some ways also, if you don't take the next step, it's going to keep on coming up in your life, and taking that extra step can open up so many doors inside of you, and it's worth to overcome that level of physical discomfort. It goes back to your level of intention. If you have more of a surface level intention, you're going to say like, oh no, it's fine, whatever I got. If there's a deeper level of intention, it's more likely that you'll take the next step. It's also important that you never feel pressured to drink the next cup. That also, if you are just not ready for it, it's okay too. It's okay to go slower as well, to have that level of patience. There's no problem with that either. Also, what I recommend people also that say they have like a strong experience and if they want to go deeper, is like, check it in with your heart. If it's just you want to drink to explore, or because you want to feel something again, it's better not to drink ayahuasca. If you feel like a calling in your heart for a deeper level of healing that or growth that you're looking for, then it's good to take the next step. So you're going to participate in a ceremony, and after the ceremony you receive your homework. And there are some people who say you shouldn't come back to drink ayahuasca if you haven't done your homework. And there's a level of truth to it. If you know exactly what you need to do, if you have the strength to do it, the focus, and you are progressing in that area, and you don't feel the call for ayahuasca, obviously don't drink more ayahuasca. At the same time, we receive the homework, but maybe there is something within you that is stopping you to really implement it in your life. That there are still some like a break that you cannot push past, or like a blockage. And there's usually a reason for that as well. And it's okay to explore that and see what are those things that are stopping me to take the next step, to do the homework that I deep down know that I need to do. I would say one of the most important questions to ask yourself is, how is your ceremony of life going? Because we are drinking ayahuasca to improve on our day-to-day life. And check in with yourself. Are you in harmony with yourself? How is your relationship with yourself, with your family, with your friends, with your romantic partner, with nature, with money? And all of those are the real indications of how your spiritual process is going. So that's very important to actually have that level of checking in with yourself about the progress that you're making in life, and how ayahuasca is impacting the well-being of your soul and your spirit. There's also something where in the beginning I said that there is no ayahuasca police telling you how many times you should be drinking ayahuasca or shouldn't be drinking ayahuasca, is that there is a phenomenon of the spiritual ego that can develop after drinking ayahuasca. Basically, one can feel more advanced than others, more like that sense of like, look at me, how great I am and what I've been doing, and I've done this many ceremonies and blah blah blah. But again, it's not about how many ceremonies you have done, but how the ceremony of your life is going. Also, in some ways, it's very difficult to maintain a rhythm of drinking a lot of ayahuasca. And I'm talking about drinking more than 20 or 30 times a year. In a way, you would need to live in South America, you would need to have access to ayahuasca, you would need to have a lot of free time, most likely not be in a romantic relationship, or your partner drinking ayahuasca too. It's a lot of sleepless nights, it takes a toll on the body, those are emotionally difficult processes. So what I observe is that sometimes people come and they have, let's say, a high number of ceremonies, let's say 20 plus, 30 plus in a year, and they're making a level of progress. Maybe even from the outside it doesn't even look like they are making a progress, but in a way they're like filling up their tank again, and then something happens in their life. Let's say they find a romantic partner, they move away from South America, and they stop drinking ayahuasca with that level of frequency. And it ties back to the person who needed 25 to 30 ceremonies to to overcome the relationship. It's also important to know the limits of ayahuasca. And the limit of ayahuasca is yourself and your willingness to heal, your willingness to go deep, your willingness to let go of the smaller aspects of yourself that even enjoys the suffering to a degree. And to really be honest with yourself of how much you are looking for healing, or if you're just looking for an experience. So again, it's a very individual process. If you want to talk about it, shoot me a message. If you want to learn more about ayahuasca, watch any of the videos which are on the channel. If you want to partake in a ceremony yourself, you're more than welcome to come here to Colombia as well. Like this video, subscribe to the channel. That helps to get the words out. Comment maybe on where you are in your process. And thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.